welcome to today's Starseed Healing Circle. So, wow, this year is almost gone. I can't believe where it's gone. In today's session, we're doing a coaching, mentoring session. So this is going to be a time for us to sit back a little bit and chat about a few things and share some information. So let's start with our tune-in. We don't really need to do a tune-in today, but I always like to bring the tune-in in. Okay, so we are tuning in with the Lemurian Healing Chamber Lightcode activation. So perhaps close your eyes, as we always do. Take a few deep breaths in and out, and just settle into your heart space. Take a moment to think about what it is that you would like to receive or heal, what you would like to let go of, what you would like to receive, what you would like to manifest. And once you have clarity on that, open your eyes and allow your eyes to gently trace the light code. Or perhaps just let your eyes settle wherever it feels like it wants to rest. Think about your goal, your focus. Just allow yourself this moment to be quiet and calm. You can spend as much time here as you need. Okay, so this whole month, the rays have been coming through quite strongly. And so I thought it would be a good idea to just continue chatting a little bit about them. In the attunement session, we did an attunement with the rays. But I would have mentioned in the last session and also the previous session that there's a lot of variation in color, information, placements, and things like that, according to the school of thought that you're dealing with, the time, where the information comes from. So there is, say, some gray areas between. Ultimately, what you can do when it comes to the rays, if you understand what the rays are and what they are focusing on, instead of saying, I'm calling on the first ray of will and power, the color red, blah, 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 you can literally just say, I'm calling on the first ray, or I'm calling on the ray of will and power, without giving it a number or a color or anything like that. So you can dive right into that and call upon the rays that you need without having to focus on a color or a chakra or a name or a number or anything like that. So it actually becomes very accessible once you know what you're dealing with. Okay. Now, the rays have been through all the years. There's been 7 rays, but in, I think it was the 1970s, another batch of rays came through. So there's 12 rays at the moment that we are working with. That may still change. We still may get more rays coming out, or revealing themselves along the way. So be open to that. But what we'll do today is we'll focus on the 7 rays again. And this time around, what I've done is I've done a slightly different configuration with colors and chakras, just to shake things up a little bit, and so that you can see how things interchange and interplay depending on different systems that you are at and all of that. It's all good. It's all fine. You'll notice that the information remains the same, even though we've got colors that are different. So let's have a look at our setup for today. Maybe I can put my camera on. Okay, so right, here's our first ray. Depending on the school that you're in or at, or where you're looking at, This ray could be seen as a very dark blue. This ray could be seen as a light blue, or it could be seen as red. So in today's session, I have selected the red as our focus. Also, chakra wise, it depends on the school where you're at. In today's one, I have selected the crown here as our beginning point. So the way this particular system that I'm showing you today, this is more, I would say, in alignment with the way that I normally work with arrays. So again, it depends on where I'm at and what I'm working with. But this is sort of one of the sort of baselines that I'm working with. Now, I also made a note in, I think it was our first session for this month, where I just made a note 9 bodies. So I also want to introduce 9 bodies, Egyptian bodies. And I've actually got the Ormatex seals here out in front of me. So I've got them laid out. So I can chat a little bit about that, but let's first just run through the 7 rays and get that out of the way. What is important with the rays is that they all feed through, or they all come through the Big Dipper. Now, from an astrological point of view or astronomy point of view, we've got the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper. So the Little Dipper, so it's Ursa Minor and Ursa Major. Ursa Major is the Big Dipper and Ursa Minor is the Little Dipper. So they call it the Dipper because it looks like a little scoop, like a ladle or something. But if you look at the Latin name for it, Ursa Minor and Ursa Major, Ursa means bear. So the great bear or the little bear. That's how we would normally see it. So the actual constellation itself is depicting a bear. Now, depending on the different approaches, some would see the bear's hind legs in the scoop, and others would see the sort of the middle of the body in that scoop. It doesn't really matter, but what is important to know is that there's a Big Dipper, Little Dipper. Little Dipper is on the tip of the ladle, so on the handle of that sort of spoon is where Polaris is, or Polaris, however you want to pronounce that. Polaris is our current great central sun. So if you are in the northern hemisphere and you're looking up at the night sky, all of the stars are seeming or appearing to rotate around Polaris. Okay. But with the rays information comes from Ursa Major. So it's the Big Dipper. So we're not working with the Polaris central star. We're working with the other side. Well, Ursa Major is seen as the portal or the gateway for the 7 rays. And the idea is that these rays come through these stars, and they then join or meet with our star, which then sends the rays of light into our space. So when we connect with the rays, we are connecting with our sun, which connects with the great central sun. So I mean, ultimately, the rays beyond the Ursa Major would come from a space beyond that. So the information is being broadcast from somewhere else, brought in through the Big Dipper and then through our sun. And also with each of those stars would then broadcast through a different constellation. So like Aries, Taurus, Gemini, things like that. So there's that overlap as well. So for people who do astrology, there's a branch going out called esoteric astrology, and they focus a lot more on the rays and how the rays fit in with astrology and things like that. So as I always said, I'm not an astrologer. That's not what I do. So that's a different field of study altogether. Okay, so here we have, so I wanted to also mention that here the rays connect with the an ascended master, with a Kohan and with an Archangel. So at the moment I've got the Kohan and Archangel listed over here. If you understand a little bit about the angel or the Kohan, then you'll know another way of working with the rays as well. It can be really, really simple. You can literally just imagine a red ray coming in when you're working with things like will and power. So as we had looked in our attunement session, ray 1 is about willpower, strength, balance, and purpose, and things like that. So when you're wanting to focus on that type of energy, or you need to do something like that, let's say you need to perhaps explore something, you need to move into a new direction, you need to start something new, you need some drive or purpose, then you call on the first ray to assist you. And it can be very easy. You can literally just say, call in the first ray, or call in the ray of will and power to infuse me with blah 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 blah, or whatever it is that you're wanting to have. So let's do a bit of a recap over here, and let's also look at how I placed them out today. So we've got the red ray, which is ray 1, associated with Michael and Morya. And as we mentioned, willpower, strength, balance, and purpose. Okay, then did I just move something by accident? Oops, where's my cursor? Sorry. Then our second ray is the indigo ray. And this is the ray of love and wisdom. So associated with the heart chakra over here. And this one's got quite a few Kohans associated with it. So we've got Lord Lanto, we've got You Are Cool, and you've got Kutumi. And you can see which one you connect with. I tend to work a little bit more with You Are Cool. That's the one I feel more comfortable with, and the one that I know a lot more. I don't know Lord Lanto that well, so it's not energy that I'm working with. Kutumi, I love working with, but for me, Kutumi, usually I would more place with sort of over here with the yellow ray, but it also depends on the branch and where you're working. So it depends. So for now, we've got Jophiel as Archangel, and then Lord Lanto, Juoko, and Kutumi. If you connect with one of these Kohans more, then work with that particular Kohan. Okay, and that I'll leave that for you to research a little bit as well. So it's also really important that you don't just sit here and soak up whatever I say and believe everything I say. You also need to do a bit of research and homework for yourself. Very important. So the second ray is of love and wisdom. And this is where we bring that marriage together, where we can work with understanding and illumination. So it's about balancing sort of the heart and the head brains while working with this particular energy. Then we've got ray 3, and this is associated with Paul the Venetian and with Shamuel. This is our active intelligence and adaptability ray, and is seen as green. In some schools it'll be seen as yellow. So again, there's going to be some changes and overlaps along the way with some of these. With this particular energy, we're working with creativity, problem solving, intelligence, and things like that. Then we've got Serapis Bay and Archangel Gabriel. This is the ray of harmony through conflict. This one, normally with the rays, there's a positive and a negative to them. Here, this is harmony through conflict. So this is not an either or with this particular ray. With this ray, it is really about wherever we meet conflict, wherever we meet hardship, wherever we get stuck with something that's heavy and not nice, when we push through that or move through that, then we move into a space of harmony. So this is not an either or situation. This is about pushing through. Serapis Bay, this is I think it's a Greek name. It could be Roman. I think it's Greek name for Osiris. So Serapis is very, very, very strongly associated with the bull or the cow. I think it's the bull. And in Egypt, one of the temples, or not temples, one of the sort of grave sites on Saqqara where I went to was the place for the bull, where they, sort of the bull mortuary. And that's where and it's called Serapis something, I can't remember the name now. But sort of I've been working with Serapis Bay for a long time, but it was only when I was there and I realized and I made the connection with the Serapis. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So this is associated with Osiris. And if you know the story of Osiris, that's all about that resurrection story. It's about the death and the rebirth. And also having to go through all the conflicts with his brother Set, and then to come out on the other side with that. Okay, right. Let's go to the next one. Then we've got Hilarion over here and Archangel Raphael. Hilarion is associated with the sun. So this is about concrete science and knowledge. And this is about, it's sort of a balance between, I would say, an intuitive knowing and a study of something. So you've got your concrete science where you're proving whatever it is that you're working with, but at the same time, you've also got wisdom and knowledge that comes from other sources that you are connecting with. Now, Raphael is also associated with healing, so you can also see how this has got a healing quality to it. Hilarion's got a very strong connection with confidence and strength and things like that. So you can see how that, if you add that on to knowledge and wisdom and concrete science, how that's going to influence things as well. And then obviously the third eye is very strongly associated with things like intuition. So again, new directions to look at these things. With this information, you really just want to overlap and overlay them on top of each other and start working with it. Ray 6 is associated with Uriel, and this is Lady Nada and also Sananda. Sananda is also just another name for Jesus. So some people prefer working with Sananda, some people prefer working with Jesus, whatever is going to work with you. This is about devotion and idealism. So when it comes to devotion, it is things like bhakti yoga, where you do devotional services towards whatever deity you are worshipping or working with. As we do that, we then receive inspiration and guidance as well. Lady Nada is associated with the nothingness, the void, the emptiness, the Om. So it's about getting back to that quiet space. And Sananda is about that compassionate healer and teacher. Then we've got the seventh ray. This is Archangel Zadkiel. And also sometimes, yeah, Uriel's over here. That's good. Zadkiel on this side. This is ceremonial order and magic. So this is how we would fit into a ritualistic structuring or a ritualistic space. So wherever ritual is involved, let's say, for example, you wake up in the morning, you make yourself a coffee, and you read a book. Then after that, you go in your shower and you brush your teeth and you get dressed and then you go to work. That's a little mini ritual. If you wanted to change your ritual, you wanted to take a new approach, you can use the seventh ray to restructure your habits or your rituals that you do. Okay, so that's a sort of a practical way of working with a particular ray. First, understand or recognize that you have a ritual. What is that ritual? What would you like the ritual to be instead? And then use the seventh ray to help you to get to that change. Remember, Saint Germain is also about transformation, so you can also call on Saint Germain for that. I tend to use Saint Germain more for clearing and cleansing and healing work, but you can look at that. So just a very, very, very quick mention of, I mentioned 9 bodies, and I have the Ormatex seals here for each of the 9 bodies. There's obviously only 7 rays, so what we have is there's 2 energies, 2 bodies. Let's get them closer here. where's my camera there? This is high bit. Where is it now? High bit. Shadow. So the shadow is your own physical shadow, but it goes beyond physical shadows. It goes into the space of your shadow work as well. So your dark side. Then we've got Sechem. Sechem is power. So this is your own personal power. And the Sechem and the high bit take your side of like going into inertia and not moving into movement and force. And so these two can become driving forces in each of your 9 bodies. Our first body that we have associated with the first ray over here is the hut, or the physical body. So here, what's interesting when we look at the rays, we've got the crown chakra associated with it, but on a level or a plane, we're working with the physical realm, with the physical body. Okay. Then when we go to the second ray, this goes over into the ka, or the astral plane, the astral body. The astral body is associated with your emotions and also creativity and flow and things like that. The third ray goes off into the mental plane and is then associated with the ba. The ba is seen as your personality. We then, oops, where am I going? Sorry. Let me get my story back. There we go. We then go into the next plane. This is the ah. So now we're going beyond the mental plane into the spiritual planes. So the last 4 are going up into the higher levels. So the ah is, this is seen as your luminous body. And your luminous body is associated with the base chakra. So between the luminous body and the physical body and the base and the crown chakra, this is our encapsulation of sort of what we have in our physical incarnation. The last 3 of these rays, so ray 5, where we're looking at concrete science knowledge, is associated with the ib, or the heart. So, and here we've got the third eye as our connection. So that bridge between the head to the heart that we are walking. Then go over to the 6th ray, to devotion, idealism, and here we have Ren, which is your true name. So here we're going into the monadic plane. And so this is not just your name as you have it over here in this lifetime, but your all of your names, your true name, your monadic name, or your name that you have beyond this time and space. And then we go into the 7th ray, where we then have Sahu, which is seen as sort of the highest form of your 9 bodies. This is you as the spirit body, or as it's called the judge in ancient Egyptian times. So, but judge doesn't have the same meaning as judgment. This is more about how your soul reviews its life and this time. And so if we have an understanding of things like the 9 bodies, we've got an understanding of the chakras, you can superimpose that and overlay this on top of the ray information. So I think we're going to probably have more sessions on these, on talking about the rays and actually working with, going deeper into them. I'm thinking of, for the attunement sessions, of doing individual sessions just for each ray. And so we can always take that a step further into the coaching sessions as well, where we dive deeper into each of the rays, so that you can get to a deep understanding of the rays, and so you can use those in your daily lives. Let's give you a technique, something that you can work with today already. So I'm going to just put all of these things away. I'm going to be working with a map coding session. I think I may have done one recording or maybe two recordings in the past with a map coding session. I can't remember where they are though, or how long ago that was, because we do have, I think, about 124 or something recordings already. So it's somewhere in that stash. But I thought I'd just bring this in again and just talk about this, because this is quite a nice technique and it's something that you can implement for yourself at any time. So map coding, map stands for medical assistance program. And so this is something that you can call on at any time. Okay, let's look at the process that you'll follow for that. So obviously you want to be able to sit down or lie down, and you want to be undisturbed for at least an hour. It could be half an hour minimum, but at least sort of half an hour to 60 minutes. You want to be able to have nice quiet space where you can do this work. You can do it at night before going to bed, but I wouldn't recommend it, not yet. That's something we can look at a later stage. But for now, this is where you want to set aside 30 minutes to 60 minutes where you can do this work. Okay, so very simple. You're going to lie down, sit down, whatever it is you're going to do. Close your eyes. And then you're just going to state out loud, or you can say it quietly to yourself, I would like to start a map coding session. Pause and hold this for a while. So you just say, I want to start a map coding session for myself. And you shoot that out and then you wait 10 seconds or so. You then say, I call on the overlighting divas of healing. Actually, it should be diva. Drop the S over there. Diva of healing, join with me now. The overlighting diva of healing. Diva is the spirit of a specific frequency or energy. So for example, we have the diva of trees. But then you have the diva of oak trees, and you have the diva of pine trees, and you have the diva of whatever, poplar trees. So there's an overlighting diva for all of the trees, but then each of the different tree species will have their own diva. And the diva is the spirit of that frequency. So asking for the overlighting diva of healing, we call for the energy that sits on top of all of the different healing modalities. It's not incorrect to ask for divas. In fact, I did that for many years. These days, I just ask for the overlighting diva of healing. So you are welcome to drop that S over there. When we call on the overlighting diva of healing, you say, please join with me now. And then you give yourself 10 seconds to pause and make that connection. Then I call on Pan. Please join with me now. Okay, very, very, very important thing here. Pan is not the Celtic or Celtic, however you say it, god, the horned one, the Cernunnos or Cernunnos, that has cow's hooves and or goat's legs and dancing around with a pan flute. That's not the Pan that we have over here. Pan here is it's a word to ask for all of the different healing energies and frequencies. So Pan, think of Pan America, Pan whatever. Like it's something that stretches across all the levels and layers. This is to associate or connect with the White Brotherhood. But again, the White Brotherhood is not a racist thing. This is the Brotherhood of Light, and it's again not a sexist thing either. It is just the beings of light, all of the beings of light and all of the beings who are here to help us. So this is your ascended masters, your saints, your angels, the whole lot. This is what Pan means over here. So when I call upon Pan, I'm calling upon all of the angels, archangels, ascended masters, saints, the higher realm light beings, all the light beings who are here to help and assist us on this plane. Okay, so Pan is everything. Give yourself 10 seconds once you call that. Then I call on my medical assistance program. Please join with me now. And you wait 10 seconds or so for that connection to be made. Each of us have our own personal medical assistance program. What you can do in your first session that you do ever is when you bring your medical assistance program through, complete your session. On the coming back side, you can ask your medical assistance program if they have a particular name that you can use. When you receive that name, write it down. Even if you think you can never remember it, you will forget it. I can promise you that. And then in future, what you can do is you can say, I call upon my medical assistance program, and give their name. Please join with me now. Or you can just skip the medical assistance program. You can say, I call on my, my team, whatever, and their name, and please join with me now. If you did not call a name or you forgot your name, you can just continue to call this your medical assistance program. It'll still work. Okay, then finally we call on my higher self. Please join with me now, and again give yourself that 10 seconds or so to make that connection. So now we have called the overloading diva of healing, we've called in Pan, we've called in your medical assistance program, and you've called your higher self. Now we are ready to start with our session. So during this time, you remain quiet and calm. You can keep your eyes closed. And this is your time to go into dialogue with your team. And usually when I talk about team over here, I talk about your medical assistance team. So you can just go like, okay, give them a description of what's happening within your body, like whatever it could be. Like you could say, well, maybe I've got an allergic reaction currently. I'm very bloated. I've got stomach cramps. I'm not feeling very well. I'm feeling nauseous. I've got a very terrible headache. Okay, just an example. So now you've given them you've given them all your symptoms and what you're experiencing. Then you can say to them, please help me with this or help me with that. Then allow that to take place. As things shift and change, you can even say to them, oh, I'm feeling a little bit of an itch on my leg right now. Or, oh, okay, I'm feeling some heat moving around in my body. Oh, I can feel my nausea is getting worse. Can you fix that for me? Feel the headache is throbbing now. It's changed. So you give them feedback of what you are experiencing as you experience it, and you have an internal dialogue with your team as they progress. Usually we'll feel when the session is over that it's now done. And so when your session is done, then we can close the session, and we close it in reverse order. So we're starting with our higher self. I'd like to thank my higher self. Thank you for the work that you've done with me, and I now release you. You can give yourself a little bit of a pause to help that disconnect. I'd like to thank my medical assistance program. Thank you for the work that you've done with me, and I now release you. Give it a little bit of a pause. And then I would like to thank Pan. Thank you for the work that you've done with me, and I'll release you. Give it a bit of a pause. And then I'd like to thank the overriding diva of healing. Thank you for the work that you've done, and I now release you. Okay, just make sure that if you worked with the overriding divas of healing, that you finish by saying thank you to the overriding divas of healing. If you only worked with diva, end here by saying thank you to the overriding diva. And then you state that your map kerning session is now complete. Then that will complete that session. Okay, so just a quick little overview of that again. So when we start our session, you're going to get quiet and calm. You say to yourself, I would like to start a map coding session. I call on the overriding diva of healing. Please join with me now. Pause 10 seconds. I call on Pan. Please join with me now. Pause 10 seconds. I call on my medical assistance program. Please join with me now. Pause 10 seconds. And I call on my higher self. Please join with me now. Pause 10 seconds. Then internal dialogue with your team. Sometimes you are completely zonked out, like in completely. Then it's okay. Just let whatever happen. When you come back, then you close your session. Closing the session, we do it in reverse. Thank your higher self and release it. Thank your medical assistance program and release it. Thank Pan and release it. Thank overlining divas or diva of healing and that release, and then session complete. Okay, so I'm going to give you that as homework. I'm not going to do anything about that. That's your story to play with. You could set a timer or take a piece of music that is 30 minutes long or an hour long, however long you want to work, and then start the music, start your session, and by the time the music ends, then use that as your time to come back. Okay, so otherwise, you are always welcome to contact me through the Patreon. You can send messages on there. I'll be very happy to answer any of those. And if it's a question that's going to be beneficial to everybody, then I may either send it out to everyone or I may make a video on that and just upload that as well. So that's our session for today. Just a little bit of work around the rays, the 9 bodies, and then your medical assistance program. There is a book called Map Coning. Well, I think it's working with your medical assistance team. I'll find the link for you and I'll put it into our description. So if you're wanting to read the book about that, you can do that, but I've outlined the system to you, so you don't really need to read the book. The book has got a lot of examples in of how it's been used and things like that, but it's something to work with and to, yeah, very, very, very good one. I also use a map coding session. Let's say, for example, I'm having a night where if I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, then I do a map coding session that normally zonks me out quite quickly. And then there's one more note that I made. The energy's lifted for this month, but sort of the 2 months or so, there was a lot of anxiety and fear that was floating around. I was very aware of that. And I made a note here. This was in our first session for this month, with fear and excitement. So this is a thing where if you are feeling or experiencing fear, to just pause and ask yourself, is this fear or is this excitement? Because excitement and fear feel very, very similar. And we tend to go towards fear because it's sort of more known. But if you can pause and check with that feeling, am I experiencing excitement now or am I experiencing fear? Then you can adjust your behavior, because if we go into fear mode, there's a specific way of acting and reacting. If we go into excitement mode, that's a different way of acting and reacting. So use this this week or so before our next session to question around fear and excitement. That's just a little extra let's say a little bonus tip for the ones who stayed until the end. So that's it for today. I will see you in our next session. I'm sending you so much love and light. Take care.